Our next speaker is a resident of the town of Harrisburg who lives within 1,200 feet of a wind turbine. He lives within the Maple Ridge Wind Farm and can speak about his experience with shadow flicker, noise, and bird kill. I know there's been a lot of concern about those three issues. We'll hear from Loren Lyndaker. Loren?
Thank you. Thank you. First off, I'll tell you a little bit about the town of Harrisburg. We have 36 miles of road. We never had any money. Our whole tax base was $36 million before the wind farm. Now the wind farm is $224 million. There's no revenue sharing in Lewis County, so we didn't have much money. It's different than they do it in Jefferson County. Of course, it's part why we get the piece we get now of the project. First thing I want to address, and I'm not sure what news media is here, but some coverage when I look at the most recent report by Jefferson Community College showing 50% strongly saying wind power is very important, 33% somewhat important, as opposed to 4 and 3% on the other end. And if we look at new development, similar numbers, 68% strongly in favor, 21%, so there's 89%, 3 and 4% against. Utica paper back in the fall wrote an article because there was some construction going on down there. And they were running the numbers on the new ethics laws that went into effect in the state about disclosure of a connection with the wind farm. And later on, a local paper printed about the same thing. They did leave one resident off, and I think that's probably because I got a phone call. But just to give you a little information, the wind farm was built in 2005 and 2006. Final approvals took place probably in those years, maybe the end of 2004 for Maple Ridge. For some, we did a final approval. I was on the planning board in 2006. When they printed the sidebar, and again in the Watertown Times, they listed, headline, records show area officials profit from leases from wind turbines. They list our current supervisor, who, by the way, was fortunate enough, he was an electrical engineer who came home to run the farm when his dad had a heart attack and stayed there for 40 years or 35. Very good guy, conscientious guy. And he's fortunate enough that he got about 8 wind towers. So he has $1 million or more interest. The only thing they left out is that the wind farm was done. He was not in office from 2003 to 2008. Could not have voted on it. That's throwing mud at a guy. Another fellow, I won't mention the guy's name, he's a cousin. We begged him to be on our Harrisburg planning board. We don't have that many people. We begged him. He agreed to go on the planning board. He happens to have, he's been a lifelong farmer up on 177 where you can't farm it because it's not in the valley. And he's got, I think, 8 wind towers. He agreed to go on the planning board in 2009. They threw his name out there. It's our town clerk, 2008, she went into office. When she bought the place in 2006, I think they wanted a little transmission line across her property, so she's listed for $20,000 to $60,000. She doesn't vote. Town clerks do not vote. I can list, there's our 70-year-old guy who's on our zoning board of appeals, again, because we begged him, went on in 2009. Another neighbor, same thing, zoning board of appeals, and they listed about 6 ZBA. A matter of fact, the person who complained here, that 3% on here I think is really 3 people, and I can name them because they've been down here. Not telling you the truth, but I won't name them. But just to make it real clear, the one's a small businessman listed as zoning board of appeals. In the town of Harrisburg, we made out like bandits because of the Empire Zone. We made out like bandits. We got 10% of the project. We get 900 and some thousand each year. Our residents, my friends and neighbors, I get Full disclosure, I do get something. That's why I shouldn't have voted on the planning board, but when it started in 2000, until our final approval in 2006, we never had opposition, never had a person against it, never had a person want to change zoning law. It was unanimous with everybody. Our final approval in 2006, there were some people there, actually 2 of them that I just mentioned, plus somebody from up north, with piles of stuff. And at that time, I realized there was an issue. There could be because of the, well, I can't disclose what I get, but it's enough to buy a coffee, but not at a Starbucks every day. Now they list it 20 to 60,000. Well, just so you know when you win the lottery, you either take the 10 million over 25 years, or 4 million now. That 20,000 is no, I don't. In money in 20 years from now, I can't buy the coffee, I'll guarantee. But I take it personal that they imply that I could be bought out for that, and more personal for, at least I actually voted by the new ethics law. I shouldn't have, although this ethics law would make it almost impossible for the town of Harrisburg to do this project. We have 435 residents. We did grow 14 in the last census, which gives us 200 and some adults. Well, none of us are really adults up there. But, and it covers half the town. And they have the friends and neighbors. That's what I have. I have one 1,170 feet from my house. But anyway, I took it personal. I can take it because I voted on something I probably shouldn't have, just because I had an interest. But there'd never been anything negative, so I didn't see a reason not to. As soon as I was made aware, I recused myself from voting. And nobody else. They listed about 5 people who were on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Nothing was turned down. Nothing went to Zoning Board of Appeals. There was never a vote in Zoning Board of Appeals. Planning Board approved it because they came with their piles and piles of stuff over many years. I was there when what kind of bat was it, Indiana bat? Indiana bat put us off for a year. And when we started, it wasn't even including like our supervisor. It wasn't including me by any means. Mine came in near the end because I had one close and they, anyway. Just to touch more about myself, I actually have been a resident in Harrisburg pretty much 55 years or so. I was away a few years doing things. I was a dairy farmer. I do things a little backwards. When my oldest son was a senior, I decided to quit my job working at school as a maintenance custodial person. I went back to college full time, and